What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my running back rankings for week 2 half-point PPR. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Post a ton of content in season. Posted my week 1 takeaways, waiver wire video rankings, and then buy lows and sell highs coming out. All the content you need to win your league, beat your friends and family, be the best. Go get that title. Hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll respond as always, and it helps out that algorithm. And please hit that like button as well. Really helps me out, but let's hop into these rankings. So at number 1, I have Christian McCaffrey against the Rams. Good matchup for Christian, and he's an absolute stud. Saquon Barkley against Arizona. Like I said, excellent matchup. I expect to bounce back for Saquon in week 2. 3, Derrick Henry against the Chargers. Good matchup for Derrick. I expect him to be featured much more this week than he was last week. 4, Nick Chubb against Pittsburgh. Good matchup for Chubb, and I expect him to continue to run well, and he was featured in the passing game. Expect him to run well even without Conklin moving forward. Number 5, Bijan Robinson against Green Bay. I think he gets even more of the pie. I think this Green Bay defense can be pretty good, but if they've had a weak point, it's always been against the run, and he's going to be utilizing the passing game as well, as we saw in week 1. 6, Austin Ekeler against Tennessee. Only reason Ekeler is down here at 6, honestly, is because there's been some rumors of him being banged up, being compromised. So I don't know if he gets his full workload this week. If he plays, though, I am playing Austin Ekeler. It's pretty much that simple with those mega studs like him. 7, Travis Etienne Jr. against Kansas City. Featured back last week over 80% of snaps. Plays Kansas City. Even if they're down, I think he could catch a bunch of passes. I expect them to be able to give them a pretty good game, though, in this one. Number 8, Tony Pollard against the Jets. Pollard, another guy I think would be higher normally. Just a tough matchup for him this week against the Jets. But he is an explosive runner, which I think you like even more in these tougher matchups, that he can just have a one monster run that could make his whole day. Number 9, Ramondre Stevenson against Miami. I expect him to catch a good amount of passes. We saw him do that in week 1. We saw him do that all last season. And I expect this Miami game to be high scoring. Number 10, Josh Jacobs against Buffalo. Jacobs received a ton of volume. Buffalo has a good defense, though. Joe Mixon against Baltimore. You are rolling Mixon out there. I know it wasn't a great week for them last week, the Bengals just in general, but I think that offense will get back to their typical form here pretty soon. 12, James Cook against Las Vegas, very involved last week, and just looked really explosive as well. So I think you can roll James Cook out there with confidence, and I think he's been a great draft day value so far. 13, Kenneth Walker plays Detroit. He was a featured back early in the season. That's Zach Charbonnet. I expect that trend to continue for at least a while, and this is a good matchup for Walker. 14, Aaron Jones against Atlanta. Another guy that I think would be a little bit higher if it wasn't for that hamstring injury. I don't even know if he plays, to be quite honest, and if he doesn't, then slide A.J. Dillon right up those boards because he's going to receive a ton of work with no Aaron Jones. 15, Dameon Pierce against Indy. I think this matchup will be much better for him than that Baltimore game, but we just need to see a little bit more rhythm for them on offense and hope he can, get something going. 16, Jahmyr Gibbs against Seattle. Good matchup for Gibbs. I don't think he's going to get the full workload by any means, but I think he is going to get hopefully enough work to get the job done. The nice thing is he's an extremely explosive player, so like I said, even if he gets 12 touches, he takes about one of the house. But I think you're open to get somewhere with that 12 to 14 touches, but which he's playable in that range to me. But if he has another week where he gets 8, 9 touches, then I think we start adjusting expectations for Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit. Although I do think that he's just going to get more and more work as the season goes on and be better and better for fantasy football. 17, Kenneth Gainwell, another guy you got to keep an eye on though. Has a rib injury, plays Thursday night against Minnesota, which is a good matchup though. But if he plays, I'm basically playing him. Received 18 opportunities last week, 14 carries, 4 receptions, 14 of the 16 RB rushing attempts. So I think you can roll Kenneth Gainwell out there. I think he's the guy, but maybe banged up against Minnesota. They audible, but just keep an eye on whether he is suiting up or not. 18, Najee Harris against Cleveland. That Cleveland defense looked excellent in week 1. Najee didn't get a ton of work, but honestly, they just kind of got, the break speed off him by the 49ers. So hopefully we get to see a little bit more of what the San Francisco, what the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is going to be like this year. 19, Rachaad White. Good matchup for him, and he received a ton of volume this last week. Sean Tucker could come out and steal his job very well by like week 4 or 5, I think, honestly. But this is a situation where Rachaad White should be able to succeed. If he doesn't succeed in this matchup, this is when I would start to get worried. He received a lot of volume last week, and this is a good matchup for him against Chicago. Might be playing him in some daily lineups depending on his price. 20, Alexander Madison against Philly. This one worries me a little bit just because we saw what happened to them last year when they played Philly. I still know they match up stylistically. It's primetime Kirk Cousins as well, but I do think Alexander Madison will be the pass catching back, so I think he's got some safety there. So I'm playing him. 21, James Conner against the Giants. James Conner is the guy there, so he's getting work, and basically I think you're playing him as long as he's suiting up and healthy. David Montgomery against Seattle, I think he's going to get a bunch of work. He could very easily be better than Gibbs is this week, and I think he's got good touchdown opportunity just about every week. Jamal Williams against Carolina, much better matchup for him, and I expect him to get a lot of work. We saw that happen last week. Maybe if Kendre Miller's back, though, he gets a little bit more if Jamal Williams looks as bad as he did on the ground last week. 24, Raheem Mostert, a guy I think it would be a little bit higher, tough matchup this week against New England, but he's a good runner, and I think he will be the featured back until further notice. 25, Miles Sanders against New Orleans, got a ton of work this last week. Tough matchup for him. I want to see him get something done here for fantasy to prove that he can be successful in a tougher matchup. If he has another, underwhelming week, you might just worry that this offense might not be headed in the right direction for a while. I might need to move on from Miles Sanders if you have to. 26, Brian Robinson Jr. was the guy for that team, for the Commanders, but plays Denver, tough defense. 27, Algier against Green Bay. I think he's going to get, a good amount of work. He might even should be higher. I just think that if we look at the carry dispersion for the first 3 quarters of that game, while it was close last week, it was much more favorable towards Bijan. I still think Algier will get work. I still think he's playable, but I do think maybe he gets less work this week, and I expect that game to potentially be closer, but who knows, with all the injuries and speculation, and it is the NFL after all. Isaiah Pacheco plays Jacksonville. Great chance for a touchdown for him. 29, Breece Hall looked great last week. I think he'd be a little bit higher on this list if he wasn't playing Dallas. If he has another week where he comes out and plays well against a great defense, though, definitely move up your expectations for Breece Hall. He looked excellent, just whether he can hold up or not, but he looks to be himself just about. So that's very exciting if you're a Breece Hall owner. 30, Javonte Williams against Washington. Received a good amount of work last week. That Washington front four is pretty darn good, though. And I don't know if Javonte, I'm just holding my expectations for him at the beginning of the year. We saw what Breece Hall did. I haven't seen Javonte have that moment yet, but the fact that he's out in the field is encouraging. Receiving a large work share is encouraging, all of those things. So 31, A.J. Dillon could shoot up this list if Aaron Jones doesn't suit up. Be ready for that potential. And if he does, basically if Aaron Jones doesn't play, I think I'm playing A.J. Dillon. And if Aaron Jones plays, I'm probably sitting him. If you need a running back play, though, I wouldn't mind it. I don't think Aaron Jones will get a monster workload coming off a hamstring if he does play. So A.J. Dillon should be involved just as much as he is any given week, if not. 32, Zach Moss. I think he'll play this weekend. It's a good matchup for them against Houston. Another guy I'd probably target my daily lineups, a lot of upside for potentially a very low price. 33, Joshua Kelly. I think he will get a good amount of work this week, basically no matter what, with Ekeler being banged up. It's just how much and can he succeed against this Tennessee defense. But I think that he can. I'd be playing him, and obviously I think I think he's a good bet for 10 to 15 touches, even if Austin Ekeler plays with the current vibes for that game. But obviously monitor that situation as the week moves forward. 34, Gus Edwards. I do think he'll be featured back to start it. The guy that you'll want get the goal line opportunities. Obviously that happened to Justice Hill last week, but I think Gus Edwards just has a bigger backfield profile more for that against Cincinnati. Not a terribly frightening matchup, but I think, we'll see what this matchup is like. And Justice Hill not playing there for Cincinnati. Samaje Perine against Denver, tough matchup. And Samaje Perine plays for Denver, so we've got some adjustments to make here right at the end. let's see, where did I was just talking about somebody. Oh, Javonte. Washington. They are playing Washington. Samaje Perine is playing Washington. As you can see, getting that workload. The thing is, I think Samaje Perine might be a little bit more efficient than Javonte at the beginning of the year, but it looks like he's not getting more of the workload, so you can play him, but temper expectations against a good front seven in Washington. Justice Hill, I think, has a good chance. He could just be the better back in this situation. I think they'll both get, some carries in this. I think the kicker is that Melvin Gordon might get 3 to 5 carries or something like that as well. And then that probably makes Gus Edwards, Justice Hill mixed with Lamar just a situation you want to stay away from. But those are my running back rankings. Check out my wide receiver rankings, and make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.